A massive trade this week for the Brewers. Obviously, William Contreras got a lot of the attention, along with Sean Murphy, as the headliners of the deal. But the reason why the Brewers feel like they may have won this trade, or at least the national media thinks so, is because of the next two players. The fact that they got even more for just one player in Esteury Ruiz. If you haven't seen the William Contreras video, it's linked right here on the YouTube page. Right now, we're talking about the guys that you may not have heard of. Payamps and Justin Yeager as part of this William Contreras deal. Let's get to it. I'm Dominic Cotroneo. I'm the host of Brewers Extra Innings during the regular season, the post-game call-in show on 620 WTMJ, and of Brewers Weekly, our weekly talk show, live on Thursday nights on 620 WTMJ, the home of the Brewers. The Brewers sent shockwaves the last week with this trade acquiring two right-handed arms, and we're going to break down a little bit more of what you need to know about these guys. It's less in-depth because we don't know how much they're going to actually impact the team moving into 2023 season. But I want to give a little bit of a background on what to expect, what the Brewers are thinking when they saw these guys, and what their value would be if they were on the big league club at some point in 2023. Let's start with the big leaguer, Payamps. Yes, I know it's spelled Joel. According to the official pronunciation guide, it's Payamps. And Dominican right-hander, he's 28 years old. He has been bouncing around a lot in his career. 4 seasons, 4 different teams. This will be his 5th different team. It's a variety of roster crunches and waivers and things of that nature. He was originally signed by the Rockies way back in 2010, played out that contract, released in 2015, and has bounced around since the offseason of 2015. This past year, he split the year between Kansas City and Oakland, throwing in a total of 55 2/3 innings, the most he's thrown in a single season. 41 total games, 16 of them he finished. He also had a 1.365 whip. The bare numbers, 3-6, a 3.23 ERA in those 41 games, 60 hits in those 55 2/3 innings for him, which obviously not great. That equates out to a 273 opponent's batting average, an opponent BABIP of 305 as well. He's not a strikeout guy by any means. Only 17% strikeout rate, whereas league average is about 23%. He's a fastball, sinker, slider, and a rare changeup repertoire. But let's talk about what the Brewers like out of him. As Matt Arnold said, they've had their eye on him for a long time. First of all, for Payamps, in 2022, he had ridiculous reverse splits, a right-hander dominating lefties. And looking into the numbers, it's a well-located fastball and a rare slider that's really helped him out. He's really a two-pitch pitcher against lefties. Lefties only hit 188 against him with a 659 OPS, whereas righties, way better, 311, 796. He does give up the long ball, though. 3 homers to the lefties, 4 homers to the righties, something to keep an eye on. We've all heard about spin these days. RPMs kind of dominate the world that we live in on the pitcher side of things, spider tack and everything with the sticky substances. But if you've got natural spin, teams want you, and they feel like you are malleable and you are something that they can craft into something they want you to be, or maybe something that can improve upon a little easier than somebody who doesn't have spin. When you look at Payamps' spin rates, specifically with his slider, last season he averaged over 2,700 RPMs on his slider. That's elite, right? You're a freak if you're over 3,000. Anything over 2,500 is very, very, very good. And the Brewers see something here with this slider. It's not a pitch that's had a lot of success for him. You see the numbers here from StatCast. The Brewers maybe feel like they can pull him into the pitching lab, refine that slider, and improve those numbers because the numbers were better in 2021, specifically with the slider. I know I mentioned he's a ground ball pitcher, but another thing I really like about him is something that's underrated about Payamps' game and his profile. His fastball has some great carry. It's not crazy high spin. It's in the upper 70th percentile or so. But there is some great carry to his regular four-seam fastball. In fact, when you look at in-zone elevated four-seamers, he's low-key nasty. He's got a 33% whiff rate on in-zone elevated four-seamers. That's what we talk about when we see a guy that has a high-spin fastball that hitters have a tough time picking up and being able to connect with. If you compare a high-spin, elevated four-seam fastball with a devastating sinker down and in, and maybe can refine that slider, that can find a way to have some more success against right-handed hitters, which he has not had in the last 2 seasons. And lastly, with Payamps, the Brewers see great advanced numbers that he had in 2021. Exit velos, hard hit data, average launch angle against, all very, very good despite him bouncing around in 2021 with the Blue Jays and with the Royals. There is something to be said about missing bats these days. That will always be king, for sure. And there's also a concern in the industry. What's going to happen to ground ball dominant pitchers? like Payamps without the shifts, meaning you can't just be, okay, I'm going to give up contact here because I know I have a guy sitting on this lefty in shallow right field. Is there going to be a massive change as far as the success of ground ball dominant pitchers without the defensive alignment that they've been expecting the last few years? Nonetheless, his ground ball rate is elite. It's over 50%, way above league average. And if he can channel back to some of the exit velo and the weak contact he was getting in 2021, he could be penciled in for a non-high leverage, medium leverage role. And the other thing that Mount Arnold pointed out, that in the past, he has started in the minor leagues. He can give length. He can give multiple innings, which, as the Brewers let Brent Suter walk, they probably have a need for that in some way or shape or form to have somebody eat middle innings of a game. Now let's talk a little bit about Justin Yeager. 6'5", 215 pounds, projectable right-handed arm. Originally a 33rd round pick out of Southern Illinois. Shout out to the Salukis by the Atlanta Braves. He's from Woodbridge. He's a Midwest kid. He's about to turn 25 in January. If you've read any articles about Yeager in the past week or so, you notice that he signed for a pretty big number for a 33rd rounder, $137,000 to be exact. The reason why this happens is A, they have a little more signing bonus money they expected if the Braves had somebody walk away or they were able to sign somebody under slot. And B, he was a junior when he was drafted in the 33rd round, meaning the leverage is actually on the player. They can command for some more money because there's something that the Braves see in his maybe spin rates or his delivery or his velocities that they really like and waited till the 33rd round to pounce so that nobody else maybe would see that they were on their tracks. So what does Yeager do well? Man, he's got gas. 96 to 99 on the fastball. Seen the slider as well, really upper 80s slider. And a splitter, apparently, which I have not been able to see so far on tape. But he throws a splitter as well, which sign me up. I love splitters. In his career in the minor leagues, he has averaged over 13.5 strikeouts per nine. And it feels like all of them are on fastballs. And we talk about spin rates and carrying fastballs with Payamps. No, look at these fastballs. These fastballs have life, have carry, have explosions coming out of his hand. That is what teams are looking for. When you're elevating fastballs and you're seeing late, uncomfortable swings, it looks like a meatball on the way in, then it just keeps on rising. That's what it looks like Justin Yeager may possess here with his fastball. You may be asking, why would the Braves let him go if he's got this big of a fastball and he's not even the main piece of this trade? Well, there are some serious control issues with Yeager. Over 5 walks per 9 innings in his career in the minor leagues. Another thing I really like about Yeager, though, and something that maybe the Brewers are excited to get their hands on him, is it seems like he's a very cerebral pitcher. And what I mean by that, there's a video up from Premier Pitching and Performance. I'm showing it here to you right now. It's a pitching lab down in St. Louis, a la a drive line, if you will. The fact that players are already seeking themselves out and going to these places and being able to improve on their craft from some of the best trainers, some of the best sports scientists in the world, makes you excited to know that none of this pitching lab stuff is going to be foreign to him. It's the reason why he was selected for so much cash in the 33rd round, because the Braves felt that he had something advanced that maybe other teams don't have. So I'm really, really intrigued to see what the Brewers are going to do to tweak with him. And he has not made his big league debut, and he's not going to be on the 40-man roster yet. So you've got time to groove him up and make sure that he's ready to go. The highest level he reached last year was AA as a 24-year-old. He appeared in 38 games. He had 6 saves, 19 games finished, 54 strikeouts in just 40 innings. That's tremendous. 23 walks, not so tremendous. So that's where the big thing that you're going to circle moving forward, get his control back on track moving forward. I imagine he'll be ticketed to Biloxi in the 2023 season. We'll see him in spring training, I imagine, in a few big league games, and we'll learn a lot more about Justin Yeager in the future. When it comes to Payamps' future, he's going to be a candidate to make the opening day roster. Is it going to be a definite slam dunk? I'm not sure about that. When you look at the current outlook for the Brewers bullpen as far as guys that will be fighting for spots, there really aren't that many spots available. You also have to remember Gus Varland is a Rule 5 pick, meaning if the Brewers aren't going to put him on the roster, he has to be returned to the Dodgers. Another thing that's not working Payamps' way in the 2023 roster is the fact that he's right-handed. This team is so dominated by righties, but the catch, as we mentioned a moment ago, he dominates lefties. He has reverse splits. If he keeps that up, that could be a way for him to make the team, because right now the only lefty on the roster looks to be Hobie Milner, assuming Aaron Ashby is going to get the chance to start in 2023. But that's just a quick synopsis on these two guys that were included in the William Contreras deal. Again, if you haven't seen that, you can click right here on the link or in the description as well. Hope you subscribe to the channel. We're going to have a lot more content like this coming up. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to follow, subscribe. I'm Dom Cotroneo. You can follow me on Twitter at Dom_Cotroneo. Make sure you follow 620 WTMJ, not just for sports, not just for news, for entertainment, for everything we've got for your Wisconsin radio station. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, keep on swinging.